Good afternoon, everyone, and very welcome to today's or this session, which is Indonesia's role in the green economy. There is a case for action. We need the private sector for the transition into a green economy. We all know that climate change, global warming is affecting the entire world with the extreme weather conditions such as drought, heat waves, heavy rain floods, and landslides becoming more and more frequent. Indonesia is also affected by global warming, so we see sea level rise and coastal areas and small islands are in danger. And then we see a deterioration of fish catch potential, agricultural productivity, and water resources. So there is no medicine like vaccine to combat COVID. We need to reduce carbon emissions. And who is causing carbon emissions is obvious, or it's beyond the obvious. It's all of us. China, USA, and India contribute approximately 50% to global carbon emission. Indonesia is the fourth most populous country in the world and among the top 10 carbon producers. So there is a global commitment to reduce carbon emissions. So the most prominent is the Paris Agreement, a commitment adopted by 198 countries, which contribute 98% of greenhouse gas emissions. So this is a global problem needs to be addressed globally. The EU has a Green Deal with the objective to be climate neutral by 2050, and also Indonesia targets net zero by 2060. So how to put these commitments into actions? The solution is a private sector. So we have three esteemed panelists which are here to represent their companies. They have already been introduced by video and will also introduce themselves. So Ernest, you are a co-founder of Rekosistem. First question also to all of you. Can you introduce your company and what exact kind of problem do you resolve? It would be interesting for us to understand who exactly are your customers, how do they benefit from your product or your service, and ideally, can you give some examples?
Okay, thanks Markus for the questions. Hi everyone, my name is Ernest, CEO and co-founder from Rekosistem. I think the snapshot in the video shows that we digitalizing the current waste ecosystem from collections, recovery and sorting, and distribution waste to the processor or recyclers. I think what is the main problem that we solve? This oversupply of waste and scattered of waste management ecosystems. We realize that based on Earth Overshoot data, our society consumes 70% more than the ability of Earth to produce. So we do in the overconsumptions, and the byproduct of the overconsumption is a lot of waste produced, because waste is a post-consumer and production products. The problem for Indonesia as the fourth most populous countries and consumption-driven economics, a lot of waste produced. Unfortunately, as the developing country, the waste management sectors is scattered. We still only apply the linear economy where 90% of waste goes to the landfills. The role of Rekosistem is we helping the current collectors, waste aggregators, sorters, and even the municipalities to reduce and utilize waste as values. So we are B2B and B2G. In the upstream, our client is the municipalities, which is cities, or residentials and township area. In the midstream is the waste workers, whether the collectors and waste aggregator as our partner. In the downstream, we are working with the currently 61 waste processors, both in Indonesia or abroad. Why we are value adding for the every stakeholders? For the municipalities, they will reduce their waste costs. Previously, 100% waste goes to the landfills, it become a dumping cost and tipping fee cost. Right now, we can reduce up to 45% of waste. So they will reduce 45% of their costs and environmental impact. In the middle, the waste workers also reduce their efficiency of logistics. At the same time, also can value previously non-valuable waste currently 45% can be reduced and sell to the waste recyclers and processor. In the downstream, the benefit is they can get steady supplies. So we connect each stakeholders to give like more economic viables and benefits for each stakeholder, at the same time also reduce waste that polluting our environment. I think that's a quick introduction about ourselves. Thank you.
So for you, waste is raw material.
Yes, raw is a material. Yeah.
Yeah.
We are do like so-called urban mining material from our societies.
Yeah. So when it comes to carbon reduction, it's about, in the first place, about avoidance. Secondly, reduction, and what can neither be avoided nor reduced needs to be compensated or offset. And there is Sudono, you are in that area. And same question to you, if you could briefly describe your company, your products, your service, that would be appreciated.
Yep. Thank you, Marcus. I'll try to keep it short. So hi, everyone. My name is Sudono. I'm one of the co-founders of Jejakin. So what we do, in essence, we provide technology, platforms or dashboard to our customers to help them decarbonize their operations and gain a better understanding of the carbon footprint that they're producing from their operational activities. So we provide several solutions to our customers. One of them being we help them measure their carbon footprint, and also we help provide high quality carbon offsets to them. An example I'll bring up here is that we work with Bank Mandiri. So we provide the ESG tracking system to them, and they have been using our solutions since 2023. And with our solution, they felt that they can track their emissions better, and even they have also announced their net zero ambition. They want to become a net zero operational company by 2030, and also eventually a net zero company as a whole by 2060, in line with the government's net zero ambition. So I think that's how we're helping them. So the benefit will be, of course, savings in terms of their resources, because when you are trying to measure the carbon footprint of a company as massive as Mandiri with thousands of branches, it's gonna take a lot of resources. So by digitalizing the process is gonna make the process easier for them. And also, just wanna share that we are working today with the East Venture Summit Committee, and we have provided barcodes placed all over the venue, and you can actually scan the barcode here and measure your personal carbon footprint that you have emitted by traveling to this venue. And there's also a tree planting program that we have provided. So yeah, please, if you will, everyone, thank you. So I think that's a brief introduction about Jejakin. Thank you.
Thanks, thank you very much, Sudono. So next one is Eka. You are in the renewable energy industry, and you help us to avoid carbon emissions. So we have seen your video. Can you also explain what exactly you are doing and what solutions you offer?
Yeah, thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Eka. I'm one of the co-founders of Xurya. And basically, maybe all of you somewhat know here, but one of the biggest emission for carbon dioxide is actually the energy sector. I think energy sector accounts for about 30 to 40% of the emission of a country. And in Indonesia, I guess, fortunately for all of us, the predecessors, but maybe not so good for our children's, is that we have a lot of coal. And we have a lot of coal, and we are exporting a lot of coal. So basically, out of 70 gigawatts of the power capacity in Indonesia, only about 10% comes from renewable. The other maybe 18 or 90% is fossil fuel based. And renewable energy, actually, if you think about it, sun, biomass, hydro, and solar in Indonesia, if you look outside, I think it should sort of make sense for solar to be a big part. But solar is only about 500 megawatts of total installed capacity up to today. So I think the biggest problem that we see is that the government is not really putting their efforts into it. I think they did a really good job in terms of building up their capacity back in 2010. I think coal was the cheapest then. I think our vision is that we want to try and show to the government that actually renewable today is cheaper. So what we're trying to do, I think I sort of like see it as a two-part advocacy, right? I think the first part is we should move businesses who have good names. So we would go out to factories like Heinz, Unicharm, Platinum Ceramics, Clio, DHL, those are our customers. And we would tell them like, can we install solar on your factories for free? And we just bill you a PLN, a price that's below PLN. So it's cheaper than PLN. So that's the first part. So once we get all of these customers on board, we go out there, put it on the media, and tell them like DHL is going solar, Unicharm is going solar, and hopefully the government notices and hey, why are these guys doing solar? Is it because they care about the environment? Maybe, but most likely it's also because it's cheaper. And that's what we want to try and message to the government, that we need to be moving at a faster clip. Our neighbors, Singapore is already doing 2 gigawatts, Thailand is already doing 5 gigawatts. Vietnam is smaller than us, and they are doing already 18 gigawatts out of their total electricity consumption, only 40 gigawatts, right? And like here we are, Indonesia, 70 gigawatts, only have half a gigawatt of solar. So hopefully we can push them. But of course, we are doing it in a sustainable fashion. That we have this first part of the business that's sustainable, and through that, hopefully we can advocate to the nation to do actually even more and faster clip. Thank you.
No, thanks for that. So you all three are startups, you all three are tech companies, and question would be, are there specific technologies you are investing into, developing, using? Is your business model based on disrupting traditional industries, or are you creating new products, new solutions? And to which extent do you benefit from know-how transfer from markets which are highly advanced in the clean tech? So I'm thinking maybe in Asia it's probably Japan. I would consider Europe or also the US. So is there something you can copy and roll out into this region? Eka, maybe this time we start with you.
So I guess from our side, the hardware, to be honest with you, it's mostly the same that we basically import. But I think our innovation is in the business model. First of all, we have what we call them Xurya lease internally. Essentially, it's a no upfront payment, and you get electricity for cheaper price than PLN, which is just to give you some idea. When we started, about maybe 5-6 years ago, we were only able to give like maybe 5-10% discount, but nowadays I can give maybe like 30% discount, 40% discount pretty easily. So it gets the eyes open. And how we are able to do that is because, first of all, we have volume, and we have this software platform where we acquire customers. So we have like a platform where we can just draw the rooftop area of the customer, and within 5 minutes we can send them a proposal. So I think what that allows us to do is just send a bunch of proposals, and at a lightning speed, because there need to be more and more factories to solarize, right? I think also what we do is the platform, how to manage them, because it's pretty easy for us to maintain like maybe 30 megawatts in one location, but if we have 30 megawatts in like 50 locations, which is what we are having, we have about 140 megawatts today. That's across about 200 locations. Without a very strong tech platform on how to sort of like study the consumption of electricity and the production, it will be very difficult to do. And I only have like maybe 5 people to maintain actually my 200 locations. So it needs to be scalable, and I think that's where the tech angle comes in.
Thanks. Sudono?
Yeah, so for us, since I've touched on the topic of measuring carbon emission, the one that we did with Bank Mandiri, so we realized that whenever we are trying to measure carbon emission, especially in massive companies, right, the number one pain point that our customers point out is that the data collection is just a nightmare, because they have to collect such massive amounts of data. So this is what we're trying to invest more in terms of new technology on data automation, processing those data, and essentially feeding them into our platform, and we can calculate the carbon emissions from those raw data that we have. So we are investing in emerging technology like IoT sensors and edge computing, so that we can help our customers, especially those with operations in remote area, to help them better capture the data and also parsing it through our platform, so that we can perform the calculation for them easier. So I think that will be the tech that we are investing in. Of course, there are plenty more, but yeah, I think time is limited, so I'll stop here. Thank you.
Thanks. And Ernest, are you a disruptor or a creator?
For me, I think slightly different. We are the disruptor because actually the waste player is already there, but it's scattered, sometimes informals. So instead of on top of the app that we are building, we also focus on the two development of technology. First is machine learning. So we identify which waste haulers and waste aggregator that have potential to aggregate more type of waste, to can supply a consistent certain categories that are required by the industry. Second is the IoT. Some of the big waste aggregators can install like some machineries. So we install the IoT to measure the performance of the machineries and the waste aggregator within their scaling machines and productivity of the machines. And for this industry, I think the beauty is the demand is can be say always been there. It's like unlimited, because the demand for post-consumer, or we usually call PCR material or renewable material, are required. And sometimes we can provide the even same or cheaper cost compared the virgin material. So the challenge is more how we can absorb it by helping the township, municipalities, and waste aggregator. Currently, we manage around 4,500 metric tons of waste in a month. We already have a deal with the even municipalities. Kota Mojokerto, we manage one of their big landfills there to manage, and several township area. So even in the supply side, they are willing to work with us, and the demand is like unlimited and keep growing. So we just enhance the productivity using tech as a disruptor instead of creating new technologies.
So if I summarize, we have one disruptor and two creators here sitting. Yeah. That's nice. So climate change climate tech in Indonesia seems to be still a nascent market. So can you, since we have investors here in the room and everyone is interested in competitiveness, so how competitive is your business, and how much are you influenced by competitors? That would be interesting. Sudono, do you want to start?
Yeah. So I think for us, it has been, we are positioning ourselves as a one-stop solution kind of model. We have been challenged by several our VCs or investors that we have spoken with. They are saying like, you have 3 products. That's too many. You should focus on one. Why are you trying to build 3 products? One is it's already a headache, right, for you. So why are you trying to build 3 products? For us, it's always been, because again, this is uncharted waters for us. So it's trying to get as much market share as possible, right? So here's the logic. If we only build like a certain product, for example, our monitoring digital MRV product, right? Whenever a customer approaches us and they're telling us that, hey, what you're having is great, but we don't need that yet because we are focusing on trying to measure our carbon footprint. So imagine if we don't have an accounting platform, that's it. That's the end of the conversation with that prospect, and we wouldn't have any other engagement with them. It goes the other way around. So when, for example, a company is approaching us for the accounting platform, but we don't have the digital MRV to further offer the services that we have, and that will be the end of the conversation. So that's why we're trying to build all these 3 products at the same time, so that we can get as much market share as possible. So that will be the key differentiator, and we have not encountered a company that is doing the same approach with us. So what we have encountered, for example, in Europe, there's a German-based company that is only focusing on just the accounting platform, or just the marketplace, or just the DMRV. But we haven't encountered a single company who is trying to do all three at once. So I think that would be our key differentiator. Yeah, Marcus, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ernest?
I think for us, right, even though climate is like new sectors, but if we double down about the waste sector, it's been there. Like all the informal sectors, private sector, small company make living for years by managing the waste. This is just how we can utilize overproduction of waste due to of the consumptions and the needs for the market of the alternative materials from waste and the efficiency that can be made. So this is the market that I think is quite ready. Why we can say quite ready? 90% of our customer coming by contacting us first instead of we knocking the door. So means the demand is there, both from the supply on the demand. Second, we can keep growing month over month by using serving the upcoming demand to us. And these sectors, maybe people think about climate, oh, how about the regulations, how about the policies, right? In Indonesia, it is more like the US market, like where the private sector can play and provide the service. It's not like maybe Japan or Korea that handled by the governments. In Indonesia itself, we have the assessment that government only have 10% capacity to manage the total waste. Means 90% is count on the informal sectors and scattered market at this time. So there's where Rekosistem play a role. So I think this is a quite interesting market for us and it's scalable and investable also. Okay.
Great. Eka?
Yeah, so I think the question is two-part, like it's basically the nascency as well as the competition.
Yeah.
So I think in terms of the where we stand right now as a sector, I think it's still in the early innings. Again, solar as a whole has only been installed for 500 megawatts. That's about maybe, I would say, $300 to $400 million of capital has been mobilized. So not a small amount, but not that big either in the whole power sector of Indonesia, which is 70 gigawatts, right? Which is maybe like $70 billion or something like that. But the total addressable market for solar, I would say maybe it's about 20 gigawatts. It's sort of like what's reasonable to be sort of moved. So we're still only about 2% penetration. So the pie is big. But of course, with I think there's an Indonesian saying, right? With ada gula ada semut, yeah. Which is if there is sugar, there'll be ants around it. So so obviously there's a lot of people who want to come in. I think fortunately for us, we were one of the early players. We started this about 6 years ago in 2018. Nobody really cared about ESG at that point in time. But obviously, East Ventures was one of the pioneers who took the plunge, right? And they sort of saw the future. And yeah, I think because of that timing that we came in much earlier than the rest, I think we were able to build a size that's much larger. I would say maybe out of the 5, so when we started, I think it was about 200 megawatts, the industry. Today is about 500 megawatts, and I would say we account for about 100 or so of that. So it's a pretty significant market share.
Okay, that's a takeaway for this question. The pie is big. I think that's for all three of you. That's good to hear. And before I ask the next question, maybe if we do this quickly, we still have time for one question from the audience. So think about what you are interested in. Next question would be, and I think, Ernest, you already touched upon the government. So to which extent do you depend on government, on regulation, on subsidies? How important is that, and what is your expectation towards the government? Now, this is a chance. I don't know whether there is a representative from the government in the room, but I think from an investor point of view, there's always our first question when we, let me say, invest into a regulated market. We want to understand the implications, and maybe you can briefly touch upon that. Do you want to start?
Okay, so for Rekosistem, there are two types, right? For the collections, it's count on the government regulations, how we can prevent there is illegal dumping and minimum tipping fee or collection fee. So currently, it's not part of our revenue, but it's not the 100% of our revenue there. So whereas we can say government become a trigger and accelerator for us to create more dollar per ton of waste collected. But for the recycling part, which is supplying waste to the recyclers and industry, it's like a commodity. It's government only regulate the how to, but the market price is already set up with the market. We already assess, right, for the total waste that currently non-recyclable yet and end up in the landfills. Indonesia, as a top producers of waste, there is around 8.8 billion of recyclable materials end up in landfill in each year. So currently we are focused on that side where government will not impact it so much if there is change in terms of the regulations, and wait a little bit for the collection part. When the regulations for the minimum collection fee is applied, it's just additional dollar for us per tons of waste collected. I think that's the role.
Thanks. Sudono, quick one.
Yeah, so for government, we are very appreciative of what the government is doing, because we have Presidential Regulation number 98 in 2021 regarding the economic value of carbon, and we also have many more ministerial regulations, whether it's from the Ministry of Environment and Forestry or the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources. So all of them are trying to accelerate this whole fight against the climate change, right? So we are appreciative, but in the other end of the spectrum, there needs to be more speed by way the regulation is introduced to the market in terms of more punitive measure. For example, we have a lot to learn from the EU and also even from our neighboring countries like Singapore, who has introduced carbon tax in 2019, and just yesterday Thailand has announced their plan to implement carbon tax next year and become the second country within the region to implement carbon tax. So I think we need to pick up speed, right, in terms of having more regulation introduced to the industry in order to boost our climate ambition. So I think that will be from the regulatory viewpoint. There needs to be more acceleration. Yeah.
Thanks, Eka. I think time is up, but do you have the 10-second answer for your industry?
Okay, 10 seconds. Basically, for us, the most important thing also before I start, similar to the investors' February, the first question is this market required a regulation to make sense? I think the answer was when we started, we made sure that there's this segment that we can operate in with or without the government approval. With or without government regulations. So that's the part that we want to go inside. And if there's anything, it should just be a bonus. But I think, yeah, at the end of the day, the business has to make sense with or without the government regulation.
Okay, thanks. Unfortunately, time is up, so no room for questions anymore. Sorry for that. Thanks very much for sharing your expertise for the esteemed panelists. Thanks a lot.
You're on to the center, please, on the count of 1, 2, 3. More. 1, 2, 3. All right. Thank you so much to all speakers and our moderator. Give a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.